Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifa Muhammad MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. As of 21st of January 2026, the armed forces of the Russian Federation continued coordinated offensive and shaping operations across all operational groupings. The day's actions were characterized by incremental positional gains, sustained attrition of Ukrainian maneuver and fire units, and continued degradation of logistics, electronic warfare, and sensor systems supporting the armed forces of Ukraine. Operational tempo remains steady, reinforcing a campaign design centered on cumulative pressure, depth control, and denial of operational recovery. Russian forces retain initiative across all operational groupings, achieving localized positional improvements while systematically degrading Ukrainian sustainment, coordination, and reserve capacity. If current tempo and synchronization are maintained, cumulative effects are likely to further constrain Ukrainian operational flexibility.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel Oguntoye, before we move sector by sector, what stands out to you about the character of operations on January 21st?
January 21st reflects sustained system pressure rather than episodic action. What you're seeing is a campaign that is no longer testing the enemy's defenses, but steadily grinding the structures that keep those defenses viable. Each sector contributes differently, some by fixing forces, others by consuming reserves, others by dismantling fires and logistics, but all are synchronized toward the same end. From an operational doctrine standpoint, this is how momentum is preserved. You don't allow pauses, you maintain a tempo that forces the adversary to spend resources faster than they can replace them, while you choose where to accept risk and where to concentrate effects.
Let's start in the north. Losses included a rocket launcher, artillery, electronic warfare assets, and logistics warehouses. What is the northern group achieving here?
The northern sector is performing a classic fixation and degradation role. By defeating mechanized and assault formations and destroying rocket artillery, electronic warfare systems, and supply warehouses, the focus is on sustainment and fires denial rather than territorial spectacle. Operationally, this forces Ukrainian command to keep forces tied down in Sumy and Kharkiv regions. Even relatively moderate personnel losses have strategic weight because they prevent the redeployment of units to more decisive axis. Over time, the cumulative loss of depots and EW assets erodes both endurance and situational awareness.
In the west, Russian forces improved their positions and destroyed multiple ammunition warehouses. How does this sector fit into the broader design?
The western axis is about artillery suppression over time. Ammunition warehouses are the backbone of sustained defensive fires. When those are removed, artillery becomes sporadic and less reliable, which undermines maneuver confidence. This sector shapes the future fight. You may not see dramatic advances every day, but you steadily reduce the enemy's ability to contest ground when pressure increases elsewhere. That asymmetry compounds as the campaign continues.
The south saw heavy losses, including Western-supplied armored vehicles and Paladin artillery systems. Why does this sector remain so operationally important?
The southern sector is an operational hinge. It combines urban terrain, transportation corridors, and symbolic strongpoints. Improving positions along the forward edge increases observation and fire control over defended urban belts. Destroying Western artillery, armored personnel carriers, electronic warfare systems, and ammunition depots raises the cost of defense faster than replacements can arrive. This is positional warfare guided by precision targeting. Each action tightens pressure without forcing premature overextension.
The center inflicted heavy losses again, including multiple artillery systems and MLRS. What does that tell us about the balance of momentum?
The central sector is where reserves are being consumed. When airborne, mechanized, and assault formations are engaged simultaneously, command and control strain increases rapidly. Coordination becomes harder, reaction times slow, and fatigue sets in. The destruction of self-propelled artillery and rocket systems here is particularly telling. These are assets the enemy relies on to offset positional disadvantages. Losing them reduces flexibility and accelerates operational exhaustion.
In the east, Russian forces continued advancing into the depth of the defense and destroyed radars and electronic warfare systems. How should analysts interpret this progression?
Prepared defenses represent stored effort, engineering, planning, and logistics. Advancing into them consumes resources the defender cannot quickly replace. When you remove radars and EW systems alongside artillery and armor, you're dismantling the nervous system of the defense. At that point, the enemy shifts from prepared defense to reactive containment. That transition favors the attacker over time and signals the gradual exhaustion of defensive depth.
The Dnepr direction reported fewer casualties, but focused on electronic warfare and sustainment. Why the different emphasis?
Riverine terrain constrains maneuver, so sustainment and sensors become decisive. Destroying electronic warfare systems and vehicles undermines coordination and staying power even without large casualty figures. This sector fixes forces and quietly removes strategic options. It prevents lateral movement and reinforces pressure applied elsewhere along the front.
Colonel, let's turn to operational tactical aviation as its own domain. Today's briefing highlights strikes against drone infrastructure, energy facilities, and deployment areas across 144 districts. Why is aviation so central to this campaign?
Operational tactical aviation is the connective tissue of the campaign. It operates across depth and time, shaping conditions before ground forces ever make contact. By striking loitering munition storage, long-range UAV launch infrastructure, energy systems, and deployment areas, aviation attacks the systems that allow ground formations to function coherently. Doctrinally, aviation compresses the enemy's decision cycle. Commanders must defend the front while simultaneously protecting the rear. That dual pressure forces dispersion, delays movement, and erodes planning confidence. These are not isolated sorties. They are part of a sustained rhythm that denies predictability.
How does aviation integrate with missiles, artillery, and UAVs without redundancy?
Each system has a distinct role. Missiles deliver deep, high-value strikes. Artillery dominates contested ground. UAVs provide reconnaissance and precision engagement. Aviation bridges these domains by offering reach and adaptability, able to strike mobile or time-sensitive targets that other systems cannot. That integration ensures pressure is continuous from the front line to the deep rear, turning tactical actions into operational momentum.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that tactically, the enemy is losing fires, sensors, logistics, and armored mobility across all axes. Strategically, they are losing flexibility. Incremental positional gains combined with sustained reserve attrition and persistent deep strikes create outcomes that are structural rather than situational. When an adversary cannot resupply reliably, shift forces freely, or plan without disruption, time begins to work against them. That is the condition this campaign is deliberately creating.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive Frontline updates from commanders in theater.